Hi everyone, welcome to GGN, Global Government News. My website's www.ggnworld.com. My YouTube channels are ddarko2012 and ddarko2013. So this video is not going to be a lot of articles like the usual ones, but I thought that I would make it just because it's kind of an interesting day as far as politically and with this whole vaccine thing being tied together. So I guess the Electoral College confirmed it. Joe Biden is the next president. But in reality, he's not really anybody's president. Most people that watch these videos understand what a puppet is, and that's what this guy is. He's just a puppet for globalists. And he became president through massive fraud that was completely swept under the rug. It's kind of mind-boggling to think that that could actually happen just right out in the open. You think that the establishment would at least play along with it and act like they cared, and put on some kind of show for a couple months and maybe let it go through these cases go through and that, but they didn't. They just threw everything out, said F you. And they weren't just saying F you to Trump, they were saying F you, fuck you to the American people. And, everybody loses. That's the way I see it with this election of 2020, is that every single American that actually believed in the system of itself, in itself, as being democratic, lost that election. And this was a huge win for the globalists. And they are not going to stop now, for sure. When it comes to politics, they're not going to let someone like Trump sneak in. You can say whatever you want. I've had my doubts with him. I voted for him for the first time for this. I didn't vote in this last election because I kind of just had my own different reasons. But I do think that he kind of just snuck in under the radar and maybe have held things up for a little bit. But to go from having someone like Trump, who's talking to, I believe it was the United Nations, giving an address saying that, we won't give in to globalism, and then get someone like Biden, you might as well just put Obama back in there. I mean, it doesn't look good for Americans. That's basically what I'm saying. So he is an illegitimate president, and the way the media went along with it was pretty sickening, including Fox News. This was an article that came out in November. Actually, it was a week after the election. You won't see this in mainstream media, but the U.S. Federal Election Commission chairman saying that the 2020 U.S. election was illegitimate due to widespread fraud. He was talking about poll observers, but he said our whole political system is based upon transparency to avoid the appearance of corruption. And he said state law allows those observers to be in there, adding that if the law isn't being followed, then this election is illegitimate. And this video isn't going to really be about all that. I think most of you are aware that there was massive fraud carried out. Most people that are on the left, I guess you could say, they weren't even really big on Biden, but they hated Trump so bad. I mean, just talking to people, they hate him personally with a personal vengeance. They hate the man, and they don't understand that by allowing this to happen, even if they hate Trump, there were still 70-something million people that voted for the guy, that they are participating in fraud by consenting to this election. And there's going to be bad things coming down the road. It was also interesting, I noticed that when I saw this article come out about how this is official now, right? It's unofficially official. Today was the first day where they're rolling out these experimental COVID vaccines. So here's your fake president, and here's your these experimental vaccines, and good luck with that. And if anything happens, you're shit out of luck. Healthcare workers, I saw this article and it made me want to, but it just kind of irritated me a little bit because I know it's just pure propaganda coming from Yahoo and that healthcare workers become the first U.S. recipients of the COVID-19 vaccine. They had a whole picture and everything, and of course it has to be a black female who's a nurse and a black doctor female. I mean, they pull out all the stops. I mean, not trying to be racist here, but that's just how they do this. And, I saw an article that was where Fauci was talking about how they need to build up confidence in the public, but he was actually referring to black people themselves, She said, "I hope this marks the beginning of the end of a very painful time in our history," shortly after she received the injection. But I'm sorry, Lindsay, that's probably not going to happen. I want to instill public confidence that the vaccine is safe. We're in a pandemic, so we all need to do our part to put an end to the pandemic and not give up soon, and to partake in this human experiment. It says here, further lockdowns are expected. Small businesses are already struggling. We're not just struggling. According to an article here, 60% of these business closures due to the coronavirus are permanent, so they're not coming back. They're not just struggling, they're gone. Over 10 million people are unemployed. With a vaccine, the best bet to return to any sense of normalcy. This is what they've been telling us. This is the only thing that will set you free is a vaccine. But now that it's here, they're saying, well, life won't go back to normal just because of the coronavirus vaccine, December 9th. That's coming from doctors. An ICU nurse said that the vaccine gives her a little bit of hope, a little bit of light, a little bit of chance. We might see some healing. So I think this whole thing is dark and nefarious. But, the medical establishment and the nurses are a completely different place and breed of people. I mean, they completely are, they have a faith in the system. Lindsay, the New York healthcare worker, noted that as a nurse she trusts and believes in science. So it's faith in science. That's what made me want to cover this article. What I don't trust is if I contract COVID, I don't know how it will impact me or those I will come in contact. So I encourage everyone to take the vaccine. If you trust in science and the facts and the data like they were talking about, you could do it by yourself, but how it will impact you if you get it? Well, Lindsay, you'll have, depending on your age, you look like you're under 70 and you're probably healthy. You have about a 99% chance of surviving, so it won't impact you that much. Not really worth taking an experimental vaccine as like a public guinea pig to convince people to take it. And then as far as those that you'll come in contact with, well, if you get the vaccine, it's not going to actually prevent transmission, so people will still get it. But as the NIH guy said, put that noise aside. Disregard facts and truth. Disregard all those terrible conspiracy theories. Disregard logic, right? And get emotional and say, I want this for my family, right? I don't want to kill my family. Oh, I want this for myself. People are dying right now. I have to do my part. And the president tweeted, first vaccine administered, congratulations USA. But Trump actually didn't take it, which I thought was very interesting too, which is one of the reasons why I made this video. Trump says he's nixing plan for early vaccine at White House. He said Sunday that he was reversing an administrative directive to vaccinate top government officials against COVID-19. So after all that pushing it, he's not even going to take it, and then the people at the top aren't going to take it. And like I said, I doubt that these things were even real vaccines on live public television, so too much to lose there. Somebody goes into anaphylactic shock on live television, and like I said, they really don't know what's going to happen, which is why companies like Google and Oracle are going to monitor these people who get these COVID-19 vaccines for up to 2 years. So this is the captain of Operation Warp Speed, the vaccine czar, career big pharma executive. Slowey confirmed that millions of Americans who are set to receive the COVID vaccine will be monitored via incredibly precise tracking systems that will ensure that patients each get 2 doses of the same vaccine and monitor them for adverse health effects. He didn't specify, but he also referred to it as a pharmacovigilance surveillance system. So are they going to monitor it remotely, kind of like the DARPA biochip It'll let you know when you're about to, when you've been infected and you're about to start showing symptoms. Another reason why I decided to make this video today was Bill Gates. He had a video out where he was on CNN, and I can't show that video because if I do, this video will probably get deleted. I'll probably get deleted anyways and get a strike, but anyways, they don't like if I repost CNN videos or mainstream videos, so unfortunately you don't get to see him talking about it, which, you know, you gotta love watching Bill Gates give you just terrible, terrible news. Like it actually impacts him, or like he's actually sad to be telling you this. Bill Gates says bars and restaurants should sadly be closed for 4 to 6 months. No return to normal until 2022. Despite a COVID vaccine being approved and distributed this week, normal life is further down the road, conceding that by summer 2021 we should be way closer to normal than we are now. And he believes a full return to normal will likely not be until after 2022. He says unless we get other countries to get rid of the disease and see high vaccination rates within the U.S. So basically, until everyone in the U.S. takes the vaccine, until we get everyone, the entire planet vaccinated, we're not going back to normal. I didn't know that was part of the bargain. I thought we just kind of waited out and, squash the bell curve, flatten the curve, and then we go back to normal. But then it was a vaccine. And now the vaccine's here. Nope, sorry, we're not going back to normal. Bill Gates said back in April, the world needs 7 billion vaccine doses to end COVID pandemic. So end the lockdowns, everyone needs to be vaccinated. But back then they were just saying 1. Now we need to have 2 doses of the vaccine. So actually, Bill, it would be 14 billion vaccines. Essentially what they're saying is until there are 0 cases, we cannot go back to normal. So the reason this video or this interview was important was because, he was going on back in April talking about 18 to 24 months, March of 2020, so March of 2022, and he stuck to that timeline. That's why he was saying 2022. Because even though the vaccines are here, and that's what they were saying, we have to take the vaccines and the lockdown, it doesn't really matter whether people take the vaccines. It was all about the timeline, which is 2 years. That's enough time to destroy small businesses. That's enough time to destroy the middle class, which is the main thing. Destroy middle class people, their jobs, their everything, right? To change society as a whole, the way they socialize, everything online, social distancing, mask wearing. People, by that time, it will just become the new normal. And there will be no normal to go back to, like I was saying. It's part of a bigger experiment of conditioning the public and conditioning the world to this new way of life, the social isolation, and a horrible, horrible wrecked economy, which is part of the global reset. So he knows what he's saying when he says that these, restaurants and bars should be closed for 4 to 6 more months. He knows that they've already been crushed. 60% of businesses that closed due to the coronavirus pandemic are now permanent. This was December 11th, so they're never coming back. U.S. billionaires' wealth grew by $845 billion, almost $1 trillion during the first 6 months of the pandemic. This is redistribution of wealth here. Wall Street predicts Pfizer and Moderna to rake in $32 billion in sales in 2021 alone, as millions of hungry Americans turn to food banks for the first time. That big public gatherings should continue to be banned. December 11th, we can't cancel love, but should we cancel weddings? The experts weigh in. The end of big weddings, and why I won't be weeping. So they're going to continue to put out these propaganda pieces like that. You won't really have much of a say in it. They'll just put this stuff out there and act like you're consenting to it, like it's being debated. It's not being debated. This is what's going to happen. Close the churches. State and local shutdown orders should not exempt religious gatherings in those communities. Should comply. Catholics in Ireland disappointed over new suspension of public worship. States consider whether religious services qualify as essential. So basically experts telling you that worshiping your God is not essential. In that interview, Gates basically said that pubs and restaurants, they don't have much of a benefit, because you're out socializing. But schools, there's a big benefit, so we've got to keep those going. That's because they're being brainwashed. Gates Foundation Reimagining Education. Your online activity is now effectively a social credit score China's social credit system is coming to the United States. Thank you.